Next set of questions. We need to think about the market. So, who is the customer? This might seem obvious, but maybe not so obvious like we talked about already. We went through our discussion about Google, who's the customer? Not so clear. There's more than one customer. So make sure you understand fully the value chain in your business, who are the participants, and who's the paying customer. Now I'll give you another tip. Like, let's say you do your investor pitch, and at the end of the pitch, the investor says, I only have one question I want to start off with is, can you tell me again who is your customer? So what do you learn from that question? How well did the presentation go? It's bad. Very bad. It's finished. You're never getting this investment. You might as well go home now. Don't even bother to answer. No, I mean you have to answer, but that was a total failure. Why? Because the investor listened to your whole pitch without understanding who the customer was, and therefore had no context for everything else that you said, and therefore all meaningless. So some questions, like I asked this question yesterday, I mentioned before, to one of our presenters. I said, at the end of the presentation, I said, can you tell me again, I didn't quite understand, what's your product? This is even worse, right? Didn't understand the product. I can guarantee my whole attention throughout the presentation is on my WhatsApp and Line and like check the email and no interest in what's going on. Okay. So next question is, how big is the market and how fast is it growing? We talked about that, a key factor for investors. Now, how big is the market? This is a very, at first this seems like a really simple question. How big is the market? All we have to do is define and measure it, right? Easy or not easy? Not easy. Why? Oh. No, I don't mean easy or not easy for you. I mean, it's just easy or not easy in general. It's not easy. Why? This market does not exist. Our product is new and innovative and maybe, hopefully, disruptively innovative. So there's no market per se for our product yet. This market will develop after we launch a product. So we need to estimate how big is the market and how fast is it growing. So this process is very difficult. We spend a lot of time on this, although we're expert at this and we do it day in and day out, but it's still a challenge every time to define and to forecast the size of the market. Now, because we're dealing with numbers that we can't verify, so when we estimate the size of a market, I like to do two ways. What I call top-down and bottom-up. So when we do top-down, we estimate the size of the market by trying to estimate the potential demand for our product. When we do the bottom-up approach, we estimate the size of the market by trying to estimate our ability to supply demand. When we combine those two approaches, we hope to get what we can consider a reasonable result. So top-down and bottom-up. I'll go through an example of those in a minute. But this is a process that I use throughout the business plan when we are trying to estimate a number that there's no way to verify and that there's no way to check afterward whether estimation is correct or not, or meaningful or not. I use two different approaches to the same problem and try to get a convergent result. After we get a convergent result, this helps us to feel more confidence in our numbers. Next question. What trends in the market are favorable for you or your product or your company? This is another factor that helps investors get interested in your product. So the market, why? Because we're going to be saying that the market is going to grow rapidly in our market size estimation. And we will quote some growth rates to support that. But what supports the growth rates? The growth rates are going to be estimates most likely from people that are analyzing the market, but they won't necessarily be convincing in the absence of supporting trends. So we look at what are supporting trends that suggest that our very aggressive growth rate forecasts are likely to be correct. Those trends can be technology trends, social trends, demographic trends, regulatory trends. For example, last year, there was a very interesting piece of legislation that moved through the US called the Jobs Act. And one portion of the Jobs Act had bearing on the crowdfunding industry. It made it much easier for companies to raise money using crowdfunding. So last year, I was very interested in investing in crowdfunding related businesses because I believe that this regulatory trend in the US to ease the regulatory requirements for crowdfunding was going to generate a lot of exciting crowdfunding businesses, and in fact this did happen. So it's not that difficult to predict in cases like that. And then who are our direct and indirect competitors? So this is one where I see a lot of entrepreneurs stumble. Like the entrepreneurs come into the presentation all excited and proud, and they say, they say, we don't have any competitors. We have no competitors. Good or bad? Bad. Why? Why is you can tell from my introduction the way I said it was going to be bad, right? But why is it bad? Yeah, either no market or you don't know. Like either it's a terrible market where there's no competitors, or it's a great market, there are plenty of competitors, but you don't know the competitors. So either way you lose. So don't say we have no competitors. Say we have many potential competitors. Now, yeah, either, I mean, if you have real competitors right now, then great. If you don't, then you say we have many potential competitors. And who are they? Well, how do they break down? Direct and indirect competitors. So what's the difference? Direct competitors sell what?
Similar products.
Similar or same product. And does it have to be exactly the same? What if your product is better? Is the other guy still a direct competitor? Yeah, it's still a direct competitor. So what's an indirect competitor?
Cross product. You don't even need.
Yes, exactly. Indirect competitors sell substitute products. So let's say, simple example, let's say you sell cars. Your product is a car. Then all other car manufacturers are direct competitors. Motorcycle manufacturers, indirect competitors. Or you sell butter. Everybody else that sells butter is a direct competitor. Companies that sell margarine or butter substitutes are indirect competitors. So direct and indirect. And then how is your market segmented? We need to segment our market, especially, I mean every company, but especially as a startup, because we will enter, our choice of entry segment in the market is one of the most important marketing choices we're going to make in the history of the company. If we enter in the right segment, we have a good chance to succeed. If we enter in the wrong segment, that decision alone can enable us to fail. So we're going to spend a lot of time thinking about what's the right entry segment. Now, I left out one point I wanted to make. How big is your market? So this is another situation where I see a lot of entrepreneurs make a big mistake. So we'll hear a lot of pitches that start off like this. We're targeting the $1 trillion global travel market. The global travel market is $1 trillion, or let's say $2 trillion. That's our market. That market is so big. Okay? Good or bad? Do you want to invest in a company that's targeting $1 trillion market?
No.
Why not? I agree it's bad. It's really bad. Why is it bad?
The addressable market is smaller.
What's that?
The addressable market will be smaller, right?
True, but that's going to be true no matter how big the overall market. But if the market is $1 trillion already, what does that suggest about the number of competitors in that market? Is it crowded or not crowded? It must be hugely crowded. I mean, think how many companies must be in that market to generate $1 trillion. So we are targeting like maybe the most crowded market in the world. Why? As a startup, why? So, okay. And then another mistake I hear people make is like, our market, we're targeting China. Our market, therefore, is 1.3 billion people. What? 1.3 billion people. So, is there any, can you think of any product that's sold to every person in China? But actually not a product. I mean, even you could say rice, but rice is not a product, it's a product category. And there's many different companies selling many different brands of rice. So there's, and in what sense does in what sense do 1.3 billion people in China constitute an addressable market? They don't, right? Because the differences among like those people, the people in cities and people not in cities, people in different regions, they're so great that it's totally meaningless. So we want to have a meaningful market, not just a big market and not too big of a market.